The most overlooked part of Watch Dogs. One doesn't happen on the streets through hacking puzzles or during Aiden's confrontations. It happens quietly, through emails, audio logs, and tiny background conversations that reveal something far bigger than Chicago. While the main story follows Aiden's personal hunt for justice, the game constantly hints that ctOS was never meant to be limited to one city. In fact, the Chicago installation was just the prototype, a test bed, and the company behind it, Blume, had already begun Phase 2 long before Aiden ever picked up his phone. Blume's plan wasn't just to sell smart infrastructure. They wanted to establish a digital monopoly. Throughout the game, players can find evidence that Blume was pitching ctOS to city governments in Europe, Asia, South America, and even the Middle East. Several emails mention negotiations with cities like Dubai, London, Toronto, and Seoul, locations that never appear in gameplay but are absolutely canon inside the universe. These weren't hypothetical offers. They were already funded, approved, and in early development months before Aiden caused chaos in Chicago. And that means the surveillance system Aiden tried to exploit and undermine was only a small part of a far larger machine. One of the most alarming implications comes from Blume's internal messaging. Employees openly discuss how ctOS 2.0, an early concept that appears later in Watch Dogs 2, was already being designed in parallel, while Chicago still ran on the first version. Even in Watch Dogs 1, Blume already knew that the Chicago test would reveal issues. They knew the system needed to be more aggressive, more centralized, and more automated, removing the need for human oversight. In other words, Blume wasn't reacting to the events of Watch Dogs 1. They were already planning a system that would prevent another Aiden Pierce from ever having that kind of access again. There's also a deeper layer. Private military companies were already expressing interest in using ctOS technology for battlefield monitoring. A few collectible emails show conversations about how soldiers equipped with ctOS-connected devices could be tracked, evaluated, and even predicted based on behavioral algorithms. So while Aiden used his phone to control infrastructure, Blume envisioned using similar systems to control entire armies. Most players never catch this, but it means ctOS was never just about public safety. It was a step toward total information dominance. Another detail that rarely gets discussed is the involvement of corporations developing their own extensions of ctOS. Big tech companies, fictional within the Watch Dogs universe, were negotiating with Blume for licenses to expand the operating system into finance, advertising, insurance, and even dating apps. Imagine a system where your search history, your spending habits, your emotional profile, and your risk rating all fed into a single algorithm. That's the future Watch Dogs 1 warns about,